Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about YouTube dropping Disney. They dropped ABC, ESPN, and their other networks. They didn't reach a deal. And now apparently the Disney executive suite is rallying because they're like, oh my God, guys, what are we going to do? This comes after there's been a lot of chatter about what's going on at YouTube right now, that the new CEO of YouTube seems like he's hellbent on competing with streamers like Disney Plus and with Netflix. And he's all about Hollywood, Hollywood, Hollywood. And he's offering buyouts to a lot of the old YouTube employees.
You know, here's what irritates me about this whole situation is this guy has built nothing. He has done nothing. He never did jack shit to make YouTube big. That was the creators. That was people that were here previous to him. Build it up to what it is. Yeah. He comes in, makes idiotic changes, by the way. There's been a lot of changes like with shorts and stuff that has actually not worked out and been really stupid. I don't know how he still has a job. And now he's going to go after Hollywood and all this stuff and act like he's Mr. Big Man and schmooze and kiss Hollywood's ass and everything else. But he did nothing to do anything. He's sacrificing everybody who did to boost himself up. They're arguing that Disney wanted too much money, which is probably true.
That's probably
because
true.
Other places said that the same thing. But the flip side of this is YouTube can't exactly beat poverty and stuff either, because they're out there chasing Hollywood and all these deals and trying to become a streaming company themselves. And here's the thing. People already have enough streamers. That's why they're all collapsing. They're watching YouTube, and the reason it's so big on television is because they're watching creators, not because they're watching streaming shows through YouTube.
Yeah, and what I think they're going to do, this is my personal opinion based on everything we've seen over the last few months especially, is I think they're going to we're going to just make our own shows with our top shelf YouTube talent, and then they're going to be our streaming shows, and people are going to pay us. And it's going to be really interesting because it's going to be kind of like Netflix all over again, where it's going to be very uncomfortable for these studios to work with YouTube if they also want to be a studio. And they tried it before. They tried it with YouTube Red, and it didn't work.
I said to you earlier, YouTube Red failed.
Yeah, that was them trying to take YouTubers and make them happen, as TV shows. And
now they're just going to step over creators and go right to Hollywood and make deals with them and screw creators. Even though, again, he built nothing, the creators did, and he's stepping over everybody to go get himself. Whatever. So now, they're in dispute with Disney, and all their channels got pulled. But they pulled it, not Disney.
That's what's interesting. That's probably why they're panicking, because they're like, wait a second, YouTube has that kind of power now. This is like Netflix kind of setting the terms, because to Disney, prior to Netflix competing with them and also becoming a studio, it was just a platform for them to put their content on, and Netflix was just a middleman. They were peddling, their subscriptions or whatever. And then as soon as they said, hey, we're going to make our own stuff, then it was like, oh crap, we're pulling all of our stuff off your platform. They all did it.
Well, the reason YouTube's the 1,000-pound gorilla or whatever in the room is because of creators, not because of their streaming. Yeah, they have some people that subscribe to streaming, yes, for sure. But the reason they have the weight they have, and the reason they're dominating TV and everything else, is because people are watching them because they don't want to watch Hollywood. Yeah. So this dumbass in his infinite wisdom is like, oh, let's go right to Hollywood and screw over the people that made YouTube. And if they go someplace else, they're going to beat you out because everybody's just going to follow the creators, you dumbass. And now they're going out to war with Disney over this, which isn't going to last long. I don't know, because YouTube this guy thinks so much that they are so important and he is so important. What's that? He just thinks his shit doesn't stink. It's like that.
Yeah, this guy, because there have been multiple articles about, as Neil Mohan, who's the CEO now of YouTube, but there have been multiple articles about him in the last few months where he's basically like, oh, I'm hobnobbing with Hollywood. And I'm like, they're trying to treat this guy like he's a celebrity. And it's like, nobody even knew. I didn't even know what his name was until he started popping up.
Again, he did nothing to build this up or anything. Nothing. But now he's out there pulling the plug on Disney, which I have to admit, it's kind of funny that he pulled the plug on Disney. I mean, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, well, I think because this is what all the numbers are about, in my opinion. The last couple of months, all we've heard about is YouTube is the top streaming platform. YouTube is the top streaming platform. That was case building. Yes, Disney, we are the top streaming platform, and if we drop your ass, you're out of luck. You lose
Yeah.
all
The
the
meanwhile, Disney and people are like, banking on YouTube to put like some of their shows on there and stuff, as extra viewership. And, now they're doing this one. Of course, it's streaming. It's not related to the same thing as the regular YouTube, YouTube, whatever, youtube.com or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. But it's just interesting to me because so now Disney, who is known for being ridiculous when it comes to pricing and being like, well, they want to charge you more money and then limit what you can have, so you go to their streaming service. That's what they try to do on a few different companies, and it ended up being a problem. So they have Disney doing what they usually do, and now YouTube's coming in, and YouTube thinks this guy thinks he's bigger. He's too big for his britches, and he's in there, and he's thinking we're YouTube. I'm YouTube. I didn't do jack shit, but I'm YouTube. And he's in there, and two things are true at once. So now we got YouTube, the YouTube dumbass, and the Disney dumbasses fighting each other.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, man, we're into it pretty far. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
I have changed the +/- club URL. It's now more.clownfishtv.com. It's more.clownfishtv.com. We have a Halloween episode up. You can go out and check that out at more.clownfishtv.com if you'd like to support us off of this crazy ass platform, because I don't know what's going to happen because we're not big enough for YouTube to care, but it would be greatly appreciated. So this is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. They said that Disney Entertainment co-chairs Dana Walden and Alan Bergman and ESPN chief Jimmy Pitaro sent out a note to staff on Friday, thanking them for the work and continued focus while admonishing YouTube and its parent company, Google, for the dispute. Now, listen to this. This is crazy. You're telling me about this before we started. They really kicked Disney in the balls, like all the way around. They said, as you are no doubt aware, last night YouTube TV pulled our channels from their service prior to the midnight expiration of our deal. So it's before midnight, right? The three executives wrote. In doing so, they not only cut off access to our live programming, but also deleted all previously recorded shows and events from their subscribers' libraries.
Because the guy YouTube doesn't care. He thinks that he is, and honestly, the streaming part of YouTube isn't that big right now.
No, but he's going for the jugular. They said their actions make clear how little regard they have for their customers and are consistent with an attitude which has been prevalent throughout our negotiations. YouTube and Google are not interested in achieving a fair deal with us. Instead, they want to use their power and extraordinary resources to eliminate competition and devalue the very content that helped them build their service.
Yeah, you're right. They want to devalue the very content that helped them build their service, and it wasn't Disney. You know what? I think it's funny. It's like, their attitude throughout the negotiations, they could have said how little regard they have for their customers and their people who built the damn company up. They don't care. So why should they treat you any better, Disney, than they're treating their creators, who are the real reason why YouTube is where it is?
So I'm telling you what this is. This is a declaration of war. This is YouTube saying, you work for me now, bitch.
Well, this is also, okay, interestingly enough, I'll roll this in here too. Interestingly enough, while this is all going on, we had this story come out too. So if you remember back a little while ago, we talked about how there was a lawsuit. Disney was suing YouTube about them poaching Justin Connolly from Disney because he'd been there for like 20 years and he was kind of, heading up some of their stuff that would have been normally part of this negotiations over ESPN and stuff. And they brought him over to YouTube to try to go after sports.
Yes.
And then then Disney sued and said it was breach contract, which is kind of weird because they almost act like they owned the guy. It was really kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And apparently it's been settled. There are no details released about what the settlement entails, but it has been settled. There's some things that have to happen within 45 days, and then maybe we'll hear more about what the settlement was. But that's going on right now too. So Disney, and YouTube were embattled there. And now Disney was asking for more, but more. They wanted to give them less, but make them pay more. And YouTube just went and didn't even wait for the timeline. They just shut it off. And it's this guy. And I mean, while part of me is very entertained that they just shut Disney off on Disney, because Disney's used to being the one to do it to you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It is very entertaining. This guy is also a complete dickwad, and I'm sorry, but you are. And, he's overly arrogant, and he's going to blow all of YouTube up with his arrogance. Yeah,
I think YouTube, if they lose their creators that built the platform. It looks to me like what they're going to do is they're going to try to, and again, Disney tried this too. Disney tried this 10 years ago with Maker Studios. We know, we were there. We saw it go down in real time from inside, and they bought Maker Studios, and they were going to take a bunch of YouTubers and turn them into TV stars, and it didn't work. And in fact, they, it didn't work. I remember they were trying to do cross promotion with like Markiplier and stuff. Then we had the adpocalypse because they didn't realize how dicey some of the content was, especially with PewDiePie. And then YouTube tried doing the same thing with YouTube Red. They were going to turn, Rhett and Link into stars, and all these other personalities on their platform. And it didn't fly. The only thing that came out of that had any lasting power, staying power, was Cobra Kai. They actually, I don't think people remember, but YouTube greenlit Cobra Kai because nobody else would take it. And then when it was a hit, it wasn't a big enough hit for YouTube to keep doing it, but it jumped over to Netflix, and then it was there for the rest of the run. But and they're probably looking at that now like, what did we do? We gave up Cobra Kai. We could have had 20 different Cobra Kais,
I don't know, but the thing is, Disney and YouTube have been fighting for a while now about different things. And this is just like the icing on the cake at this point.
Yeah, last time, wasn't it Disney threatening to pull from them or whatever? Like, they've been going back for, like, look, this is nothing new. The whole carriage thing is nothing new. Every year, whether it's Disney or Paramount or Nickelodeon, whatever, they want more money. Comcast, they want more money. We all do. Sure, we all do. But I think Disney is used to being in the bargaining position, though. They're like, well, it'd be a real shame if you don't have Disney Channel, ABC, ESPN. They always use ESPN. That's the thing. They always use ESPN as the cudgel to bully the cable providers and bully the streaming providers into paying them what they want. And now YouTube, now that they poached one of their ESPN guys, might be like, well, we'll just go after the sports directly. We don't even.
Well, that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, they didn't even like go clear to the timeline for the, like, usually it would be up to Disney to, to who's gonna blink first. It would normally be up to Disney to pull because, like, well, you didn't meet my timeline, so I'm pulling. But in a power play, YouTube just turned around and did it,
right,
yanked it.
Yeah, before midnight.
And it is gonna mess up. According to them, it's gonna mess up their subscribers. They had stuff saved, they had playlists or whatever. It's gonna undo all that. Don't know if it's true or not because I don't use YouTube to watch Disney. But that's interesting because people are going to be pissed, and YouTube's trying to spin it that it's Disney's fault, and Disney's trying to spin it that it's YouTube's fault. But it sounds to me like YouTube, the pulling it was YouTube.
It's YouTube setting the tone. This is what YouTube said. They said they'll give subscribers a $20 monthly credit if the dispute drags on.
But they didn't specify how long that is.
No. They said last week Disney used the threat of a blackout on YouTube as a negotiating tactic to force deal terms that would raise prices on our customers. They're now following through on that threat, suspending their content on YouTube TV. But Disney says that they pulled
YouTube pulled it. This
decision directly harms our subscribers while benefiting their own live TV products, including Hulu plus Live TV and Fubo. So I can see both sides there because Disney, again, what they have going for them is ESPN, but that's not going to last forever.
Well, even the Fubo plus Fubo, if you remember that whole ordeal, Fubo was going to sue them because they were going to have that big sports thing that basically they were going in with Warner Brothers and was it Fox? I forget who else.
I don't know.
And they were going to buy up all the rights to sports. So if you wanted to use sports, you had to go through them. Yeah. And then Fubo sued because they're like, well, because Disney was doing to them what they did to YouTube, which is they wanted just specific sports channels. And Disney's like, well, no, you're going to pay a lot of money. And you're going to take all this extra bloated channels that we want to up our subscriptions on, but no one in your channel is going to watch. No one's going to watch it on your service. And they were trying to do that to them. So they sued. And then they settled by Disney basically partnered up with Fubo and bought Fubo out and is out there using it now as another sports channel they get to control.
Yeah, it's basically everybody's kind of fighting over scraps. Obviously,
I want to get popcorn, let them fight it out.
Yeah, let them fight. So I mean, look, everything is pivoting to streaming. At this point, though, YouTube and Disney are competitors.
Well, what makes me mad?
They're competitors.
But the thing is, YouTube and Disney are not the same thing, and that's what's weird because what this idiot at YouTube does not fundamentally understand is the fact that. We've said this before. People went to YouTube because they didn't want Disney. People went to YouTube because they didn't want Hollywood. That's why YouTube was big, because people wanted them and not, the streaming services and Hollywood shit. That's why they went to YouTube. They wanted authenticity and all this other stuff. And now this idiot is like, well, we're going to just go in all in Hollywood and screw the creators over and be another streaming service and make movies and crap. And I'm like, that's great. So you're just like every other place that people hated, which is why they went to you in the first place. If I were an investor in YouTube, I would be asking some questions, because this completely spits in the face of what YouTube was. And it's just going to make them another streaming service. And right now, streaming services are all, they're highlighting each other anyway.
Yeah.
If you lose all your creators and you treat them like shit and keep taking, more money than you should, and et cetera, as it seems, the creators are going to leave. They're going to go other places, and then there's nothing separating you from another streaming service, which means that you're going to get your head chopped off too. And why you have better TV viewership than Netflix is people are watching like us on their TVs. I'm not saying that we're that important, but you mean channels like ours on their television, and they're not watching the streaming stuff. I don't think you have that many streaming people. You're not big as far as a streaming service. You're big because of YouTube being what YouTube has been established to be. And this is colossally stupid. So normally I'd defend you, but at this point, I don't know who I'm rooting for. At this point, you can just poke each other in the ass. I don't care.
Wow. Okay. Get the reach around. Make you reach around. All
just
right.
like, well, wrestle, grease you up and let you wrestle it out. Him and Iger, let's go.
All right.
Televise it.
There you go. And then they can charge for that. They can both charge. We got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.